Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video series called Animate with Fern. Here we're just basically just animating away and just basically talking about what's my process and how I do things in my animation videos. If that's something that you would like to see 4 times the speed, then this is the video for you. So yeah, so starting off with this video, this is one of my TikTok videos that I have on my TikTok account. And so with all my TikTok and YouTube videos, I tend to just start off with the lip sync. Here is just like a little audio at the beginning that he sings a little bit. I would love to play the audio for you, but because YouTube copyright stuff, I'm not able to. So yeah, so basically I'm trying to sync up with the mouth movements and the singing, so it looks like Fern is actually saying those words. So with the tools that I use Sal tools for 3D Studio Max. It could be different from any other 3D software. Usually with other rigs have their own system that you could store poses. As of right now, of what I'm aware of, Max does not have that, so I have to basically get a third-party program for that. So yeah, so with the lip sync, I have to make sure that the mouth is clearly shown, make sure that some of the teeth aren't going through the mesh, and basically just working through the audio to make sure that everything reads nicely and is transitioning to the other pose perfectly fine. And then when I'm done with the mouth movements, I render it out, view it in my editing software, and basically make sure that everything runs perfectly fine, and basically I'm able to read it, the audience is able to read it, and when I'm happy, I basically go to the next step, is body mechanics. With the body mechanics, it's basically, I try to keep it as simple as possible because with this platform you have to get your videos out as quickly as possible, so I try to minimize the movements as much as possible. But with that, I try to hit really nice points in the audio to like emphasize. So with this one, he goes like that one, that I try to hit a pose in that actual hit of the song. So with animation, it's actually really important that you actually plan out your animations. Usually with my videos, I tend to have like a basic idea of what I want and just basically go from there. Why I say planning out your animation is really important is if I would have planned out my animations, for example, the glasses. Normally the glasses just link to the head and that's said and done. But here I was, after animating, I was like, oh, it'd be awesome if he takes the glasses, look down, and basically give like an eye to the audience. So when I did that, I had to do a link constraint from the head to the hands, and that really messed up the animations of the glasses. You'll see a little bit in the video that the glasses starts floating out, so I had to take time and try to fix that. And basically if I would have planned that out, it would have saved me time. But yeah, so with that, I just work on the animation, making sure that everything is smooth, it's nice and clear. And yeah, so here, so the glasses will go down. It was an easy fix. I just went into the graph editor, deleted the animations that was tethered to the glasses, and there. So I rendered out the animations, and then I go on to these two guys. These two are actually a representation of my actual 2 best friends. Just to keep their name private, I'm just gonna call the one in the gray Steve 1 and the one in the green Steve 2. So yeah, so one key thing about new animators is with animations, if the hands are actually on screen, it's very helpful if you actually just relax the hands, even if they're standing or anything, or have them pose accordingly to what you need to convey. I've seen multiple people who will, well, more new animators, that they just basically have their hands on a default hand pose, and personally that really brings down the quality of your animation. So I advise that anytime that you are animating and you're about to start, just relax the hands. It really makes a difference in your animations, especially if you're not animating the hands or anything. So yeah, so the story with this scene is that we're in a club and they're basically seeing me just twerking away, and they look at each other and react to the twerking, and then when the beat drops, that's when they basically join in and twerk with me. So yeah, so we're here just basically working on the head movements of them looking at each other. It's a simple animation of the head turning. Usually I will do from A to B, and in the middle have like the head go slightly down, just giving it a nice little arc of the head movement. And it's a slight push on having the head look over, and it just looks nicer than just having it just straight to the look. After I'm happy with that little section of the animation, then it comes into the twerking part of the animation. with this one, I really thought of how my actual friends would try to actually twerk. And with Steve 1, since high school, he's been like really strong, kind of buff kind of guy. And so he always tries to outdo me, which we have like a really competitive nature, which is awesome to have as friends, to have like, you know, that little competitive with each other. So he will try to outdo me in this twerking dance. So I will always imagine that he will go on upside down with his butt up. So yeah, so going back to the animation. So first I work with the hands. I have IK hands on. So like that, when I move the body, I'm able to move the body without worrying about the hands. Also just making sure that the body looks fine in the viewport, just making sure that it looks natural. It looks like an actual pose that someone with twerking like that will do. I'm also like counterbalancing the legs with the hips, making sure that his weight and everything seems correct. Even though you're only seeing it from one view, I try to make sure that everything looks readable. So yeah, so here I'm just working on the twerking part. It's not just the butt just moving. I try to incorporate the spine. I tried also the legs, basically having the legs look like they're helping out with the actual pumping and the twerking of the butt. One interesting thing about here is the working out like the head movements and stuff like that, making sure that everything works perfectly fine. After I got it all right and I like the movement, if you look down in the time frame, I actually copy and paste the twerking. So like that, it'll just basically do the same twerking throughout the little segments of basically creating a little loop of the twerking. So after I'm happy with Steve 1, I move on to Steve 2. With Steve 2, I decided to put him on all fours. You'll see there I activated the IK controls, making sure that the hands are nicely planted on the floor. And like that, if I need to rotate them or move them, or if I want to move the bodies and everything, I know that the hands will stay on the floor and will not move. So yeah, there I'm working on the hands, planting it on the floor, making sure that it like looks like his weight is on the hands, so his fingers will be wide open. Yeah. So yeah, so doing that, I know now you don't see his hands in frame, but I know eventually I will have to move him where you can actually see him, basically change his orientation. I work on the hands first, so I know wherever I rotate him, I'll be confident that his hands will be on the floor. So after I get his rough placement of where he's going to be, I work on his legs, work on his knee placement and hands to basically convey that he's on the floor and he's going to be dancing. And usually with that, you have like your knees open a little bit. I know because sometimes with animations, if you're trying to figure out a pose, you kind of do it yourself, and that's how my knees were, so that's what I did. And when I'm happy with what he's going to look like, I thought it would be funny to actually have him look back kind of to the audience just to make it more connected to the twerking. I don't know if that worked, but I thought it was funny. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to add it. Usually my rule of thumb is if I find it funny, it's going into the video. So here I just started working on twerking. With the twerking, it's actually like I did with Steve 1. I just didn't work on the butt. I had to work on the spine. I had to work on the head movements. I actually worked on a little bit on the shoulders to basically convey that he's really trying to give it his all with his twerking. When I'm happy with the animation, like I did with the other one, I copied and pasted the twerking, and if I want to, I could loop this as long as I want. So yeah, now after I'm happy with all the animations, I basically work a little bit more on the staging of the dancing, making sure that all three is visible and that the audience can clearly see them and identify there's three people twerking in this scene. So with that said and done, after I'm happy with the movements, the lip sync, the everything, then I'll go into the eyes and the eyebrows. So one of the things I like to do to help me out with my animations is that I go into the eyes, delete the keyframes, and basically key the keyframes with the head. For the reasons why I do that is because if there's any animations on the head, I know where the eyes could be positioned, and like that it is synced up with the timing of the head. So yeah, so with Fern, it's very simple. It's really straightforward. Just have him looking at the camera and adding some blings here and there. Alright, so when I finish with Fern's face, then I move on to these guys. So basically it's the same concept as Fern. I go into the eyes, delete the keyframes, and basically key the keyframes with the head. Once again, it's a lot faster for me so that I'll know exactly which keyframes. If when the head moves, then the eye moves, and so like that. It's just a lot easier for me. So yeah, so here I just have him looking at Steve 2 and basically have that timing up with the head. Then what I do is when the transition from the head poses from point A to point B, right in the middle, I'll close the eyes. Gives a nice look to when the person is looking from point A to point B. For me, it looks natural. It gives like a nice little detail to the animations within the eyes. So yeah, so then I go into Steve 2. With Steve 2, I want to give him a little bit more of a concerned look compared to Steve 1. I have his mouth open here. I'm just working out the shape, and also I'm working on the eyebrows, just curving it a little bit more, and basically just fine tuning things here and there. And basically when he's looking at Steve 1, I want their eyes to look at each other, convey that they're acknowledging that they're in the same space, and you know, just if the audience could feel like they're looking at each other, then it really sells that they're in the same space. So yeah, so here I did a little bit different than Steve 1. I have the mouth close up, just giving a little bit of variety of the animations in this scene. And when he looks back, same treatment. When he's transitioning from point A to point B, he closes his eyes to give it a little bit more realistic look. So yeah, so now I am rendering out the animation, and basically when it's done, I'll look at the animations in my After Effects program. All right, so when everything is put together, this is the final result. Alright, that wraps up for this video. I just want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. If you really like this video, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Also, if you want to be considered an original first subscribers, please subscribe to this channel. It will really help me out. Once again, thank you so much for checking out this video. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. Later.